Hello, and welcome back to Brigador. I'm your host, the social solipsist, and between the last episode and this one, I took a bit of a break. Just, called the recording session to a close, but spent a little time looking into the game after last episode's abject failure. So I have a couple of things to report. About questions that I have raised but not bothered to look up because I forget. The first one is the loading times. Bizarrely, this is a known issue. The devs are aware of it. It's something they fixed once upon a time and then it reared its ugly head again. The fix is to turn off VSync. Yeah, I'm just gonna let that sink in for a moment. For some reason, turning on VSync makes the loads incredibly slow. If I turn off VSync, they're almost instant, all of them. However, turning off VSync results in such horrible degradation of the video quality that I cannot bear to turn it off, so we're just gonna deal with the remainder of the game with those load times. The second is that I found out that these F-Series... Well, I should have known, because I should have read the title screen. Which, it's out here, but I read more detail, is that the F-Series campaign maps, Come Find a Surgeon, As I Step in Vain, and I'll Be What I Am, are made by the community. They were selected by the devs, but they were made by the community. And in a longer blog post by one of the devs, they said that they were chosen because they were very good but extremely difficult and supposed to be sort of a final test of your skill. There are also quite a lot of... Well, there's not a lot of talk online about this game. It's not that popular. It wasn't very successful. As I mentioned at the beginning of this series, Mandalore is the one who brought my attention to this game, and even with the great boost in purchases and play that brought, there's still, information is still relatively scarce about the game, especially about the late campaign missions, which it strikes, the percentage of people who play the campaign at all is fairly small. The number of people who actually reach the end of the campaign is drastically smaller. I think less... Hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick without... Let's see. Campaign... Oh, it's not. Hold on. Global achievement stats. 2.5% of players complete all the levels in campaign mode. Not all, not every layout or every loadout in every campaign just complete every mission. So this is a rarity to get this far at all, apparently. There are no details on the wiki about any of these last three missions. There's almost no footage of anybody playing it on YouTube as well. So the number of people who actually play this or get to it or have anything to say about it is fairly rare. And so there are quite what threads there are, and there are not very many. If you look up Come Find a Surgeon or either any of the other two, is heavily experienced players complaining how hard it is. People who are inarguably much better than me. In particular, the Sledger loadout is basically agreed to be... You basically have to have a perfect run. You have to have memorized the map completely, and hit everyone before they can hit you, because they are extremely punishing and you are extremely squishy. I also went over my own footage and looked at what was killing me, and there are more heavier enemies that than I really noticed, and with heavier weapons than I really noticed. So I mean, some of you probably knew it because you were watching the video and could go back and look, but I was getting absolutely melted by some like heavy energy weapons, and frankly, I'm just not sure it's possible for me. Even with the sweetheart, I just don't think it's possible. I even tried it in What's funny is I unlocked this mission in freelance mode and tried to run it with the auditor. The auditor in freelance is a zero difficulty a zero difficulty player. It's supposed to be so that you can walk through the map and there's no enemies. The problem is with the campaign missions, if you run the campaign missions, they don't have randomized enemies. They have enemies that spawn. I just wanted to look at the map. And I tried to do that, and lo and behold, it's still populated with all the same enemies because they're part of the map. So I couldn't even do that. So this is all to say, I am okay. It's a little bit, it's ending the series with a little bit of a whimper, but I'm okay with not finishing these last 3 missions. And I don't love it. I sort of wish they weren't included because it bothers the completionist in me, or the pseudo-completionist, but I think I'm just going to have to live with it. That said, we are going to try As I Step in Vain and see if we can do it in any capacity. If we make it through this one, maybe I'll be what I am, and but I don't have high hopes. We'll see. Anyway, F2, As I Step in Vain. Contract, removal of target vehicles, opposition, heavy corvid. S&C analysts may have underestimated opposition force concentrations in the current area of operations. Corvids have proven especially resilient in reorganizing after engaging both Loyalist forces and Brigador elements. As a result, intel reliability in this area is below actionable thresholds. We are pulling you out. Exfiltrate via the Maitland commercial spaceport, provided a tug is available. If you are unable to secure transport, exit via the district gates, and the S&C will reroute you in the following mission. In either case, remove the marked targets before exiting. Alright. It's completely baffling to me that the V-Sync is for some reason the thing that causes these loads to be so long. I would love to know why that happens, but I think if the devs knew why it happened, they would have fixed it. So, oh, the other thing I did want to mention, in addition to having more detail about these being community maps, something that also made me feel a little better in a thread where somebody was bemoaning how difficult that mission was. One of the devs replied that if they could get into the Discord for the game. There's an official Discord, and talk to other people who might have some insight, including the person who made the map, who the dev called, and I quote, a son of a bitch. So they're very aware that this is difficult. All right. What do we have? Oh, good lord. Wait, I have to destroy... Wait, I thought I was destroying buildings. No, I guess not. Oh, shit. Wow, they are just not letting up at all with the bombardment. I have 1 health. Something tells me this is not going to go well. Yeah, that went about as expected. I think this may not happen, but we'll give it a few solid goes. Removal of target vehicles. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I tried to run when I played the previous map with the auditor. I tried to run it with a heavy, like a really heavy mech, and that was just as like something with like twice as much health and shield as this, and it still was basically impossible because once you get pinned down, you can't get away, and they just melt you with like a couple of lasers, and there's such an overwhelming force. Oh, one other thing that I forgot. Shit. God, there's so many suicide things. One other mechanic that I completely forgot and was reminded of when looking through some suggestions for that level is that in addition to everything else, there is in fact a crouch mechanic that reduces the damage you take and makes you more low profile. I have not used that for this entire campaign run through, which has probably made things harder, but yeah. This game is not the most verbose or clear with its instructions. So if I crouch, I cannot walk, but supposedly I take less damage. It would probably, actually, now that I think about it, it would probably also alleviate some of my woes with the not being able to shoot low enough as well. But because it's bound to C, it's kind of in an odd place. I'm out of ammo. Ah, shit. Ow. Ah, shit. Shit. I'm out of ammo. I'm out of ammo. Leave me alone. No, stop. 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 Leave me alone. I don't like you like that. Ow. Huh, that actually worked. The stomp killed it without killing me. That's stunning, actually. Yeah, it was only a matter of time. We'll give it one more go, I think. Honestly, we're just, we're coming to the end of the game anyway. I want to have time to read you guys the remainder of the intel as well. Come on. Ow, ow, oh my god. Alright. Just getting destroyed by those suicide tuk-tuks. Alright, you know what? I think that's enough of that for me. We're just gonna have to say goodbye to these last 2 missions. Alright. On to the acquisitions and the last chunk of intel here. Spacer Light Tank Vish. I'm unclear on whether the Busker or Vish came first, or if they were parallel projects. But together, they make for an interesting comparison. Boils down to the question of whether you want to stack your firepower onto a single mount or distribute it across a smaller pair. The fact that both vehicles exist means even the Spacers didn't get a straight answer on that one. Busker. A stripped-down take on the Spacer's lumbering ball treaders. The Busker carries a modicum of firepower and trades in on durability for a little more speed. A team of these is good in a fight, but none of them is worth a lot alone, which flies against the very lone wolf battle ethos of the Spacers, if you ask me. They're slowly being phased out, sold to mercenaries and border patrols. Balder. Fast and low, why can't the Corvids build anything like this? Or any regular/loyalist type arms contractor for that matter. This thing is more speed than armor, but with that low of a profile, you've got a much better survival rate than most drivers. There's the power plant and some shielding and an optics package, and that's about it. Too bad every attempt at reverse engineering these infernal ball tread drive systems ends up in very messy failure. Spacer tread bike. Grigori. Despite being commonly referred to as a tread bike, the Grigori is a gyro-stabilized drone/remote piloting hardware package on top of a single ball version of the distinctive Spacer tread. Spacers deploy in concentric defensive positions, with these and other self-detonating drone weapons forming the outer perimeter. As with most vehicle-borne explosive delivery weapons, the threat comes largely from being ignored, which is an unusual feat for a bright red Spacer vehicle without optic camo. Paver. This thing is gorgeous, I have to admit. The Paver is probably what the Troubadour's great-grandchildren will look like. It's classy, fast, and more dangerous than it really ought to be. Keep the driver centered low, put the small gun mounts on sponsons, ringing the ball tread drive. Pretty genius. Fortunately for us, it can only take a couple of rounds before it's nothing but pretty scrap. Actias. Fans of Nobre Video will remember the Actias from Spacers Don't Sleep. I mean, it's not a real Actias. They couldn't pay for Spacer ball treads. But their faked up version for the riot dispersal sequence in that movie are clearly built to resemble the Actias. This thing is also a spotter, This thing is also a spotter, not a riot control unit. It's a funny trick from the Spacers. Field bright red everything. Have so many killer drones and devastating energy weapons that a single ball tread can do precision spotting and recon without anyone really noticing, despite its recent starring role. Spacer Anti-Crab, Z Prime. Well, these are the most evil things. Proof that living in space too long makes you crazy. The Z Prime is a floating deployment platform used mainly in far-flung spacer outposts. They rig it up with sensor arrays and weapons platforms, plus some communications technology I wasn't able to identify from the samples I've managed to scrape together. The Z's real purpose, though, is like an interplanetary scarecrow. Put the fear of the cold void that spacers grow up longing for. Put that fear into the dirt eaters. This is gonna be a weird reference that I think very few people will get, but if anyone's seen the film Zardoz, now that I see this, like I had an inkling of it seeing it in game, but now that I see it up close, getting some definite Zardoz vibes out of this thing. Anyway. All right. That's I think that's all the intel we're gonna do for right now. I think in our final episode, I'm just gonna do a freelance mission. I'll run through that. I'll either succeed or fail. We'll find out. And then I'll read you guys the rest of the intel. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time.